Have you ever felt that a knife just didn't get enough credit? Like, people recognize that it's good, but they don't necessarily understand just how good it actually is. How's it going, everybody? I'm Rollshambo, the connoisseur and collector of all things sharp and shiny. And if you've ever wanted to get justice for a knife, smash that like button. Let me know in the comment section down below, which one was it? Today we're talking about the Begg Knives Bodega, a knife that I reviewed 2 months ago. And if you're looking for an actual review, I'll link it up above. That was my first time ever handling a Begg Knives anything. And I was so impressed. And here's the crazy part, right? Initially, I looked at that knife on a live stream with you guys. I go live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Mountain Time. And in that live stream, I basically did what a lot of you guys did, and that's say $120 for D2, G10, get out of here. But I couldn't let it go. I couldn't just not check it out because, well, it looked super cool. And I didn't necessarily understand the history at that time. I really didn't. But I knew that I had to find out exactly why it cost 120 bucks. What made it so justifiable? And so I reached out to White Mountain Knives, a retailer that I work with. Shout out to White Mountain Knives. And if you guys are ever there, please make sure to use code RSB10, get 10% off. Just lets them know that you watch my channel and you get 10% off. So I checked it out and I was impressed. I was super impressed, in fact. And, you know, there I was about to reach out again to White Mountain Knives to say, hey, it's time to buy this thing, right? And then something crazy happened. Begg Knives watched my video and they said, hey, we would love to get some more of our knives in your hands so that you can also check them out. And so, of course, I said yes. Now, the thing about reviewing a knife like this Bodega is that a lot of people that haven't had the opportunity to handle a Bodega, or maybe like me, they didn't have a lot of experience with the brand in the past, they watch those videos and they say things like D2 120 bucks, ah, but they don't know any better because they didn't handle it. They didn't give it a chance, much like I didn't give it a chance when I initially looked at it on that live stream. But I'm so glad that I did, not just because it gave me an opportunity to interact with Begg Knives, which is a legendary knife company, by the way, guys. If you don't know, you should probably do some research because Begg Knives is amazing. And, well, I can't help it. Every time I see a comment on a Begg Knives video for one of their new Steel Series designs, you know, with the D2 and the G10, and people say I refuse to do 120 bucks for D2, it kills me because they did such a phenomenal job. And if you truly understand just how much work goes into manufacturing this knife right here, the level of detail involved, maybe people would stop being so judgmental. And I get it. Like I said, initially that was me. But I know better now. And I know better because I've learned some things. Big popular channels with hundreds of thousands of subscribers have said much the same thing. And in fact, another popular channel, Love Them Knives, who regularly submits knives to get PMI tested and heat treat tested, HRC Rockwell tested, found that not only is this, in fact, D2, it's been heat treated to 62 HRC. Now, just to give you an idea, D2 at 62 HRC is going to have better edge retention than M390 at 59. This is important because you have to understand that 59 to 61 is the standard heat treat protocol for M390. So what that means is if edge retention truly is king, And based on the surveys that I have done, most people believe that it is. Well, we don't really have a whole lot to complain about here. And so here I am attempting to get justice for a knife that should not need it, because it comes from legendary stock. It comes from a place of people who know what they're doing, people that understand the level of quality that they have to continue to put out to stay relevant in the knife industry. Not only did they come out with these historic knives, they're also coming out with more knives. They unveiled a few at Blade Show, and they look fantastic. And in case you didn't know, this is not necessarily a review. This is more of an update. You know, here we are 2 months after that initial review of the Bodega from White Mountain Knives, and I just wanted to give my update. I try to keep these more laid back, less, you know, informational, in your face, less first impression-y, because let's face it, things can change when you start getting into knives. Like, you buy a knife and you're in the honeymoon period, right? Everything is new, everything is shiny, everything is amazing. And then a month goes by, maybe 2 months goes by, and all of a sudden, before you know it, the knife is sitting in your drawer and you haven't carried it. And the reason is because while you loved it while it was new, it may not have carried that same sense of awesomeness throughout. It happens. It's happened to me. And let me know in the comments section down below if it's ever happened to you. So that's why these updates are important. And also let me know if you want me to continue doing them, because I kind of like doing it. I like doing a more laid back style of video. And am I rambling? Sure. But I wanted to get into the nitty-gritty details. So first and foremost, I want you to pay attention to these handle scales. These handle scales are perfectly rounded over. The manufacturing level on them is next level. And when we're talking about the manufacturer, everybody wants to know who Begg Knives is using for their OEM. If you didn't know, here's the answer: nobody knows. Begg Knives has trained yet another OEM on how to manufacture really, really good freaking knives. And they're playing it close to the chest. You see, they trained Riot, and then word got out that they trained Riot, and people started seeing the level of quality that Riot was capable of. And before you knew it, Begg Knives was on the back burner because all of these companies started using Riot as an OEM. And ultimately, that hurt them. Now, I can't blame Begg Knives for not wanting to release who they trained this time, because it is kind of unfair to think that, you know, they go through all this work to train and to educate an OEM on how to make something so freaking good, and then only to be put on the back burner because they become super popular and everyone gets to benefit from that but them. So I get that. And this is not a pity party. I believe that it's 100% a strategical move that I agree with. Here's what we need to know. The heat treat, based on tests that others have done on the new Begg Knives, is good. The level of fit and finish is top notch. This level of fit and finish typically belongs to knives in the $300, $400, $500, $600 range. And to get it on a knife that is a $120 version of a knife that initially cost thousands and thousands of dollars, it's mind-boggling. So when people tell me it costs too much to justify the materials of G10 steel and D2, I can't help but think they're missing out. And they're missing out because they're doing what I did. They saw a material composition, they saw a price tag, and they said, no freaking way. So, guys, I get it. But it's a shame, because these are still available. And the level of fit and finish is out of this world. The satin finish on the blade, phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. The chamfering on the handle scales, the engraving on the handle scales. And I believe this pattern is called Divine Symmetry, in case you didn't know. Single-sided captive pivot, stupidly snappy action. Like, it's so good. The D10 perfectly tuned. The ball bearings, nice. I've carried this knife. This is not a knife that I just whipped out of a box and said, oh, cool, sharp and shiny. I love it. Sign me up. This is a knife that I've had a chance to carry, and I've carried it a lot. Here's a fun fact. This is the first time that Begg Knives has ever done a 3.5-inch version of the Bodega. Now, some of you may have heard recently that Todd Begg is no longer a part of Begg Knives. This is a fact. It's still owned by Mark, who is Todd's brother. They went through this thing. They separated. Todd wanted to do more custom production stuff. He's no longer a part of Begg Knives, but that doesn't change the fact that everyone else that made Begg Knives amazing is, well, they're still there, and they're still doing good work, and they're still putting out fantastic designs, and it's exciting. This is one of those knives that it's a sleeper, and I feel bad for the people missing out on this knife when they look at it and they say D2 G10, 120 bucks, not worth it. But it's really good. And I think that if more people could look past the G10 and D2, they would see that. I 100% believe that it's worth the price tag. Would we have liked to have seen it at a $90 price point? Sure. I would also like to buy a Corvette for 10 grand, but that doesn't mean that it's going to happen. And when you see the level of detail work that goes into this knife, it makes a whole lot of sense to me why their prices for this material composition are so high. You can't find a $70 knife with this level of detail work, with this level of precision manufacturing at that price point. You can't. If you know of a knife that is this detail oriented with these materials under 100 bucks, let me know. I'd definitely love to check it out. And sure, they probably exist, but don't talk to me about Tucson. People are lining up out the door right now to say, well, you know, I can get D2 and titanium with Tucson for under 100 bucks. Yeah, but that D2 is under 60 HRC. You know, Tucson, not the greatest heat treat. So please don't talk to me about Tucson. I know that I'm rambling. I know that I'm going on for a while, but this is just my update on this knife. It's fantastic. It's 100% worth the $120 price point. Of course, I will link it down below in case you want to pick one up. And by the way, I highly suggest that you do. Who is this for? This is for the EDC knife enthusiast who can appreciate excellent craftsmanship. This is for the person who always wanted a Begg Knives Bodega but could never afford one, and even if they could, they'd never ever take it out with them because it would be a couple $1,000 knife in their pocket that they would just feel bad about using. This is 120 bucks with user-friendly materials and all of the same great manufacturing qualities that Begg Knives has staked their name on for years. Don't miss out, guys. If you were on the fence about this and you thought, you know what, I like it, but the $120 price point, maybe it's just a little too high for me, maybe I'll wait. Don't wait. The price is not going to come down. It can't. But it can sell out. And you don't want to miss out on yet another amazing knife from Begg Knives. So that's my piece. Let me know in the comments section down below. If you made it this far, go ahead and throw an RSB in your comment to let me know that you made it all the way through. And of course, if you want to see the full review, I will link it at the end of this video. I'm Rollshambo. I'll catch you on the flip side.